Hey, I'm here. All right, if you're from that area there, let me say Wakunye. I know Wakunye in the morning, in the afternoon. Yo, hello, my people. Yo, welcome to the show. Profile Liberia. Just waiting for my studio guests. Sorry, we're coming a bit late, but we're gonna do our show as usual. We'll be joining our guest analyst for today. It's Fidel Bully. Okay, the honorable is in the house already. I'm looking well, honorably looking well. Yes. Mama, you understand how they call it? Vi? And not Vi there.
I absolutely have no clue which language that is, but I don't understand it.
But you heard the song, right?
I heard a bit of the song, yes.
Yeah, beautiful song though. Yeah, I think it's from Grand Cape County.
Oh, okay, but no, I don't understand Vi, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah, I understand that you are very multilingual, so what told me. So, Fidel, what's up, man? Welcome, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, Max. I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah. I can see. I don't know if the only thing I can say, you look like one Kissy Paramount Chief. Again, but I'm not calling. Yeah, I can be holding again when I'm taking rest. People can call me on video, but the moment I get on my show, yeah, that time video calls can be coming, and some of them not even on the show watching. They get, yeah. Anyway, welcome to the show, my man. It's great to have you on.
It's always great to be here, Max. It's it's a pleasure.
Now you see, once the call comes like this, and I don't okay, the volume will go down low, so I think Fidel have to call back. Yeah, Fidel,
is it any better?
yeah, Fidel, you have to call back. My volume gone down low again. There's no way I can do any other thing. Please call back, yeah. All right, to sincerely apologize. I'm on live. I gotta tell these people, man. There you go. Please do not call me. All right, let's see whether Fidel can call back. Let's see if we can add Fidel there. All right. Okay. Oh, let's see now if we can get Mr. Bully. Then we can. Good. It's great to have. Let me hear your voice. You there, right?
Yes, I think I'm here.
All right, good. All right, you think? Yeah, that's great. All right, welcome, buddy. We have the the talking point here to be that of the recent visit of the president, our president, President George Weah, to China to attend the China Africa Summit, which of course we're going to end off after looking at some of the stories that are trending this evening across the continent of Africa first, and then we'll come back and we'll end it home. We can hear, we can get your side of the discussion, what has been discussed about Africans. Let me put the whole continent in the picture about Africans actually heading all the way to China for this meeting, so we can hear your side. But first, let's go because of time. We're having Betty Johnson Bayou of the Front Page Africa will be coming in our studio for our interview. Her life, accordingly, her life has been threatened by somebody in Liberia. We don't know if she's doing her work independently right now. But quickly, let's take a visit at the All Africa, the courtesy of them, and see what are some of the headlines we can actually touch this afternoon. Right. Let's see. I'm looking for Nigeria. Okay, Nigerians at risk of starvation, European states say. Nigerians at risk of starvation, European states say. The other story, actually, I don't want to hear. Okay, let's see. Angola, twin collusion casualties rise to 18. That's in Angola. Uganda, stop misusing word torture, says Museveni. Stop misusing the word torture, says Museveni. That's the president of Uganda there. Okay, quickly, this one, Swaziland. Let's go to South Africa quickly. Exposing state capture is a slow and steady business. Exposing state capture is a slow and steady business. And quickly to Ghana, this last one, hopefully. Ghana cities must be robust and governance friendly. Ghana's cities must be robust and governance friendly. Don't know who is saying that, but that's one of the headlines that are trending across Africa this evening. Hopefully to be in the hard copies tomorrow morning. But quickly, Fidel, and then any of the headlines so far that you want to
Well, not
comment
not
on?
really. You know, I think I'm more looking forward to some of the headlines on Liberia.
Okay, but this story about Nigerians at risk of starvation, and the Europe not even they themselves are not telling themselves, but Europeans are telling them that you guys are at risk of starvation. I don't know whether this is
No, the thing
Africa.
is, you have to, a story like that has to be read with the thought in mind that there might be some truth to it. The fact that
Yeah.
donor organizations are coming out and saying that might also be a way of trying to control the narrative so that they can get funding from the organizations or the donors that they want to get money from. Obviously the Nigerians are a very proud people, and I'm not sure if Nigerians will come out and say something like that. And obviously, like people have to sell their projects. I'm fortunate to read a lot of project documents sometimes, and when you see some of the wordings that people actually put in them, you kind of scringe a little bit because you're thinking, these might not be as exactly as truthful as they should be. But people need to get money to go and do the work that they do, and donors like to be shocked when for them to give money. So sometimes people shock them so that they can give their money.
Okay, that's true. You're right. All right, let's quickly go to the news public trust, our own here. Let's see what are trending there this evening. We see here moves to improve quality of primary school teachers. Moves to improve quality of primary school teachers. See a couple of huge number of our young people there in their uniform under this particular headlines here. Okay, Land Rights Act finally passed by Liberian legislature. Land Rights Act finally passed by Liberian legislature. Okay, quickly, let's see what next. Mosorado County flooding nightmare. Menace intensifies. I say, as we all are aware, I mean, it's still reading in Monrovia. The situation is, there's no way to even describe it. A lot of, a huge segment of Monrovia is under water right now. But there's one particular story that caught my attention here. Because of that, I got to see what I can share with you. Some of these headlines and switch my camera around. Okay, for you that are following, all of you, this is the story that moves to improve quality primary school teachers. And we see our young people here waiting to start school. And this one, see, Land Rights Act finally passed by Liberian legislature. What we see there is a photograph of believed to be road, plantation, and others as well. Let's go down a little bit. Mosorado County flooding nightmare. Minutes intensifies. Let's see. Let me show you the picture. This is how some part of Mosorado County looks like right now under water as well. Let's go down a little bit to this one. US 350,000 infectious disease unit dedicated in Lofa County. That is the one. So I hope the infectious disease well, this is something, worth commending anyway. If we have something like this and it's well equipped so that before any eventuality, we'll be able to tackle it. The Joseph Walker Foundation distributes books, shoes to Liberian students. We see the former vice president here, some other people as well, his foundation that are distributing books. Okay, quickly to this. Liberian Muslims pause to take position on Justice Janet impeachment bill. This thing is getting serious. I got a recording here that hopefully tomorrow we'll deal with this story. We'll call somebody to actually analyze it. Liberian Muslims paused to take position on Justice Janet impeachment bill. I don't know whether we are right to trivialize what is going on in that area there. But let's take the last story here. It says here, law amendment will boost transparency. So if we amend the law, it might boost transparency for our nation as well. So let me I just turned the camera to me. Fidel, these are some of the students that are training here. Any one particular interest? I know of one particular one, but again,
Yeah, I'm gonna skip over that because I already gave my thoughts on that last week, and I'm kind of saving further
yeah,
comments on it until the president actually decides to either sign it or send it back. So I don't want to get too carried away with that. However, I think there are two stories that I would like to link together. And obviously, you mentioned that you'll be talking about Justice Janet tomorrow, but I want to link that to the situation that's going on in Montserrado County at the moment in terms of flooding. So you've got members of the national legislature, especially those from Montserrado County, who are the ones that are running up and down trying to impeach a member of the Supreme Court when they've
yeah,
got their citizens who voted for them. They're dying, they're struggling, they're suffering from flood. And at the end of the day, that should be their concern, not trying to wrongfully impeach someone from the bench. Obviously, and that's why I want to link the two stories together. It speaks to the think of a priority. So, what is the priority of the people that were elected to serve the people? Your people
yeah.
are suffering. Their homes are being flooded. They don't have food. Their kids are getting sick. Those are things that threaten their lives directly. Not a 0.54 acre lot of. It's not even an acre of land that we're talking about. Not even one lot. From the information I've received, we're talking half a lot that was bought back in 1996. How is
What?
that more important than people that are dying? You got people in their county. The two representatives need to take a deep look at themselves because they are from Montserrado County. People in Montserrado, and I must, in the same vein, commend you for your effort in terms of raising money to help the people who have suffered from flooding in Liberia. Those are the things that we should be seeing the representatives doing, going out there, speaking to people in the
Yeah,
communities, asking them what their problems are, and trying to solve those issues instead of trying to use the power that the people have given them for a personal vendetta against an individual. Because everything I've read so far does not give me any faith in our House of Representatives for doing what they're doing. I gave you one example. These guys send this document to the Senate. The Senate turn around and thank God, I might be getting ahead of myself, but thank God we have some people with brains in our national in the Senate of the national legislature, because people like Yombi Kanga Lawrence and the others who are saying, no, you know what, we need to look at this thing. This thing wasn't even done the right way. For it to be done the right way, it needs to be done this. These guys are supposed to be our representatives. They're supposed to be making laws for us, and they don't even
ah,
understand how to make a law. That is very scary, and the people are dying. They should be going to the national government. If this was in the US, for example, or in other countries, what you will see is the legislators will go to the national government and say, look, we need to set up an emergency flood victims fund. We need to pull money from other places into that fund. We need to go out there. We need to support these individuals, make sure that they've got roofs over their heads, make sure they've got food on their table, make sure their kids can still go to school safely, without going through this dirty water. We know, Max, from living in Monrovia, how horrible it is when it rains.
it
And
is.
you've got feces all over the place, you've
Yeah.
got garbage all over the place, and kids who are already malnourished, most of them anyway, having to walk through this dirty water, catch diseases that they will suffer and die from. And the people that their parents voted for to help them not to die, and they're running behind some guy for half a lot of land. you know, at the end of the day, you're thinking common sense tells you that look, you have a job, you have a duty, you have the power that the people have given you to seek their interest. If you go around the street, I can bet you now, Max, if you go around the street of Monrovia now and talk to people, if you go to other parts of Montserrado County and talk to people, not many people would care less about whether Justice Janet uses political office to get a piece of land. Most people in Liberia are doing it anyway. There are accusations right now that the president is using his office to build 5, 6 different homes. So why aren't we impeaching the president? This guy didn't even sign the judgment. He didn't even sit in the deliberation. The other 4 people were the ones that passed the law, passed the judgment. So go and impeach the 4 people. Don't impeach the brother. He didn't do. If it is true, and obviously you have to take the reporting from the press with a pinch of salt. But if it is true, then these two stories just point to a very, very devastating, a very, very uneasy situation in our country where the people who were elected to cater to the needs of the ordinary people have neglected them 9 months after their election. 9 months. Only because they care about Justice Kavina Janet is a man of great experience. He's a wealthy man. He's a qualified individual who, even after the justice seat on the Supreme Court, will still have a good life. He will still live well. The ordinary people don't have that option, and that's why they elected you, so you can go there and put them first. Even if this justice did what he said he did, put that to one side right now. Yeah, that shows common sense. Say, okay, you know what? We'll come back to this thing. It's not urgent now. We've got people here who are dying. We've got people here who are stranded. We've got people here who are starving. We've got people here who have lost their homes, who are displaced. We need to help these people. These are the people that voted for us. That's our primary responsibility, to protect them. And then later on, even if you then come back later on and impeach this guy, some of us will, even though we might not like it, but we can say, you know what? Let's look at it objectively. They did their jobs. They catered to the needs of their people. But you've got your people suffering as they are. And then you're running behind something that you shouldn't even, you've got no business to run behind. And then you're doing it so messed up. You know, simple things like passing a bill of impeachment. These guys don't understand the logic or the concept of passing a bill. You're a national legislator, for an example, for God's sake. You're sitting in the first branch of government of the Republic of Liberia. You're representing the interests of your district. And you can't even take the time to. Our constitution, Max, is not even long. You can read the entire Liberian constitution in 3 hours.
Very, very small.
In 3 hours, I've read the constitution about 6 or 7 times. You can read the entire constitution in 3 hours. So why can't you take the time?
Very, very small book.
And make sure that you do it the right way. Now you got people from the Senate coming and telling you guys, oh, you guys are a bunch of idiots because you don't know what you're doing. This is not how you're supposed to do it. And these same guys will be there and be walking around and bragging and talking crap that they're not supposed to be talking when they're not doing a simple thing.
Nothing.
If you want to impeach someone, you have to pass a bill. Simple. It's very, very simple. Even if you're lying on the person, pass the bill. It has to be a bill. And these guys can't get the basic thing. You know, so one of the most basic component of being a member of the House of Representatives, these guys can't. And you know, it's annoying. You know, I know I'm ranting a little bit, but you know, it's just the sheer.
They are writing letter. You know,
it's the sheer arrogance. Yeah, it's the sheer arrogance that these guys feel that look, they are the accuser and the judge at the same time. You know, you're going after someone's character. You're trying to destroy somebody. You're trying to bring someone down because of a personal vendetta. And then you sat there and you can't even do your number one job. At least if you're doing that job, we can overlook. I personally wouldn't overlook it, but I'm sure some of your constituents will overlook it. But the people voted you for one reason. Number one reason was to look after them, to make sure that they do well in their districts. And their districts have been flooded. And you're not even concerned about that. You haven't gone there to identify with them. You've not made this a national issue. You haven't called the president to declare a state of emergency in Monserrate County. You know, those are the kind of things the national legislature should be pushing, or the House of Representatives should be pushing for. Not running after Justice Kavina Janet for a personal issue, something that he had absolutely nothing to do with. We all buy land in Liberia, Max. I've bought land in Liberia before, and then there were issues about the land, and I've lost land because of that. Because obviously you bought the land from someone else come and prove that they were the original owners of the land. You go to court, the judge is like, well, this man deed older than your deed. You know, what can you do about it? You forfeit the land, you've lost the money. You know, we've all been there. There are many Liberians, not just from those of us in the diaspora. There are Liberians who live in Liberia who have gone through similar situations and who will tell you stories of losing land to people. And once it's done through the rule of law, because I just can't, you know. Anyway, I'll let you ask a question, Max. Let me step back for 1 minute.
When you have situations like this, and you you find people who are given the responsibility to exercise their rights and also make sure that the execution is in direct order. But then they are missing the root. And somebody sitting there who just reading their own guidelines and saying, what are these people really? Do they really mean business? Are they not reading what this guidelines is, told them? Or they didn't read it at all. They just got the position elected and they said that, saying that in the chair. When they say hearing, somebody just come out and say anything they want to say. Oh, me, I agree. Or, okay, well, I vote, and they do it. I mean, I quite agree with you. It sounds frustrating for any sound-minded person, to hear something that is written, not really somebody just saying it. The people say that don't have constitutions like here. They don't have constitution, but the people have everything in direct order. You have guardians. You have something that you're supposed to go by. They say, yeah, this thing that is mentioned in this law book, it is the one that actually defends you no matter what. And yet then still you don't even know how to go about it. But on the issue of the flooding, let's be honest. Fidel, today, Bob, you didn't listen to my you haven't seen the latest video I did today. I was directly appealing to the president. Now, Mr. President, yet, let me be very frank with you. You erred big time yesterday. Just into the week of the flooding that led RIA Road to be blocked. That weekend, Mr. President, where we were expecting you to say something about the flooding, maybe quickly, how they do it here. They call it the Cobra meeting will be called upon quickly, and the Prime Minister is heading the meeting to say that to empower or to even increase some kind of emergency support for for people to tackle it. It's natural, so it's national. It's a national disaster. But the president didn't say anything up to this point, and I keep challenging them. Up to this point, our president haven't said anything. It's being reported in the media every day. Now weekend, Fidel, I know you follow the story. The president organized IE and Barrow Old Timers game for fun. And now, when I saw those pictures on Sekou Kalasco, the first thing I went there, I asked the question. I said, is that game being played in solidarity of the flood victims from Liberia to raise money to help them? And somebody replied me, at least somebody will come to reply me and say, no, they give just for fun, though, Max. That got me. That got to me on the. After 3 days, I got on the net and I talked about it. Now, a week later, he invited Didier Drogba in town and organized a football match, friendly football match. Up to this point, Fidel, our president haven't said anything about the flooding. The rain still falling, people still being displaced. And today, what I did, I just appealed to him because the next thing, by the time, I think he's back already. By the coming week or so, weekend, he say he hanging at number 14. I don't know whether he's still using number 14 or so, but he say hanging at number 14. Finally, just said that finally. So they're having a big football match again. And I'm appealing to the president. I say, okay, Mr. President, if you're having this match, all I want, I will buy my ticket. I will buy a ticket. I will stay right here, but I will pay for the ticket. Organize a football match that even your own ministers charge them. If you charge them $300 each, and you tell them one bag of rice, a few bottles of water, you go across the boat, whether they're going or not. Even the children, some of the children, they will go on our fee. If you even charge them $200 Liberian, even if they don't eat for 3 days, they will keep that $300 to go and watch you playing. Collect that money. Everything now, but anyway, I'm waiting for the response on that. But that's what that's my appeal I sent out today. I don't know what's your take on this before we move on.
Well, Max, the reason I'm stressed out, and the reason I'm very passionate when I talk about this is because it is a horrible situation that a group of people will elect an individual to represent their interest. And let's be aware, this is a president who I think rightly, or not rightly, but thank God for that, who has gone through the same, it's not like what we had before the 1980s, where all of our previous leaders were wealthy men from the day they were born until they got into office. President Weah went through the rough of Liberia. President Weah grew up in a community that was almost like a dump. So he understands the kind of stress and strains that these people are undergoing. He knows what it's like to grow up in a community where there's many zinc shacks. So he knows what happens when it gets flooded. So it's not like someone who's never, if it was someone who's never lived in those kind of environment before, I can understand and say, well, he's not in touch with it. But the president lived there. He went through the same struggles. So he should know what these people are going through. That's the first thing. But let's put the president to one side, because we gotta be, when we're talking about the president, you gotta be careful this time. We have the first branch of government. Those are the people me at home. Branch of government. There was a reason why the founders of the nation of Liberia had 3 branches of government.
The volume gone down again. Honestly, the call that came in. Not Facebook. I don't know why they can't change this thing like this. Always people have to call. Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks, Max. So no, the point I'm making is the national legislature should be the one kicking the ball. They should be the one going to the president and say, look, Mr. President, something needs to be done about this, and push him to do something. And if the president can't do it, Max, let's be honest.
I'm not cutting you off, but here the prime minister normally call them, and the prime minister can start them.
No. Yes, but that's, you see, look, at the end of the day, if the prime minister doesn't do it, there are instances where something happened, the prime minister hasn't taken action, and other members of parliament would then say to her, look, something needs to be done about this. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say to you here. These guys take home $14,000 to $16,000 a month. If each of them decided, you know what, this month we'll take $1,000 each from our salaries, that's $73,000 in the House of Representatives alone. And then you've got another $30,000 from the Senate. If, because obviously, and put this together, or even let's say, look, I think Monserrata got like 15 or 12 representatives. Even if these guys put 2,000 each together, $24,000, and just went and identify with these people, buy some plastic sheets, buy some tents, buy some safe water to people to drink, buy some rice, like you said, get some clothes, go down waterside, go to these Lebanese guys and say, look, can you donate some used clothes for us to take and give to these people who have lost everything? And Max, it's not just, you see, the thing is, what these guys don't understand about politics is all about perception. Politics is about what people see. Yeah. All of the things you write in the book, all of the things you write on policy papers, people don't care about it. People want to see things. If these people see their representatives coming down, wearing their rain boots, in the mud, trying to clear the water out of someone's house, give them a bag of rice, give them some clothes, Max, that guy will probably be representative until he can't walk no more.
That's true.
Yeah, even if they did it for selfish reasons, to say, you know what, if I do this thing, people will think that I'm a nice guy, and they will do it for selfish reasons. Yeah, do it for your own personal selfish reasons. That, look, I want to continue to be a representative, so I will act like I like these people, even though I don't really like them. But whatever it is, you cannot be a member of the House of Representatives, earning the kind of money that you earn, living in Montserrat, representing people in the districts where the rain is devastating places, and you can't even take $1 from your pocket to go. And these people are the same people that pay their taxes for you to get the money that you got to ride a big car that you ride, to go and sit there and run behind Justice Cabinet Janet for absolutely no reason. At one point I'm just going to make before you come in, mind, these guys are elected by the people, and this is something I was thinking about today. They should be transparent. Everything they do in the House of Representatives must be done for the people. How does impeaching Justice Cabinet Janet help the people of Liberia? How is it going to improve their access to better livelihoods? How is it going to improve the school system? How is it going to look? That's why you talk about priorities. How does doing this? Because the time they're spending, in this country that we live, Max, they normally attach cost to everything. I was in a project meeting today, and they were talking to us about timesheets and that kind of stuff. This, project, it's like every hour, these guys already don't work many hours, and we pay them all that money. So if we count how many hours they actually work, those guys probably spend $500 of Liberian people money each, sitting there writing some stupid letter that is not even legal. So they've wasted $500 each of our money, sitting there writing something that doesn't make sense, something that they did not even research properly, something that will probably be thrown back to them, and then they have to go spend another 3 or 4 hours, spend another $500 each of our money again to come up with a bill. That is just wasteful, and that is a complete disregard for the ordinary people of Liberia. That is an insult to the Liberian people to say, you know what, you're so stupid. You voted for us. We'll do whatever we want to do. You can't do anything about it, and that is just wrong. And that is why I'm angry, because it's like a slap in the teeth of the Liberian people. It's like saying to them, you can't do anything to me. I'm here. I'll do whatever I want to do, because these things that they're running, their priorities, are not helping the Liberian people. And that is what they were elected for.
Yeah, I quite agree with you. Okay, let's progress a little bit. Angeline, we sincerely appreciate your contribution. We'll see whether we have a little time to read them out. Supposed to be at let's check what is going on. We're supposed to be hosting Betty Bayoba. If she's not in the house on the hour, it will ask Fidel for another 10 minutes of his time before we can leave. But let's quickly go to the front page Africa. I think I'm going to share the platform with you that are watching as well, because not everybody actually read the papers online. Let me see. All right, this is a front page Africa. The big news always is stay there. China's 60 billions. This news is still trending. In fact, not only I mean, almost every country is discussing the 60 billions. Today, I was on the platform with the Nigerian. They are also, there's a heated argument going on there as well. Chinese 60 billions. How much can Liberia get? So right now, we got the 54 million in aid. That's coming. But this 60 billion now is what we're trying now to analyze. How much we getting? How much we get? Every country asking that question as well. War crimes court. You see the senator here. Let me see what I can project him a little bit. Yeah, that's Senator Payne Johnson. War crimes court. Senator Payne Johnson. Don't know what he's saying there. Let's see what I can go down a little bit. This is a similar thing that my brother was talking about. Senate Judiciary Committee takes over impeachment proceedings. Yeah, tomorrow we're talking about this thing. We got some recordings of what they did there today as well to add up onto the argument. Young professionals program begins 9th recruitment. Another story there trending today. This is one of the stories I'm really interested in. Calls for GT Bank's managers speedy trial heightens. But we don't know, or my understanding is that he was bailed out immediately when he was arrested for and charged with assault also. This is Tier 1 Gonglo, as they say here. Court issues rate of arrest for Councillor Tier 1 Gonglo and others. I don't know, maybe if you read more, then you will get to know about that one. But these are some of the stories that actually trending. Let me see that from yesterday. Let me see if we can get anything from there. Okay, no, at the moment. Let's see. Let's go to Fidel now. The founder from Fidel. Okay, a couple of stories here from yesterday. This Judiciary Committee report, and this one say Deputy Speaker travels to U.S. to meet U.S. Congressman. This is a trip that the president pro tem are supposed to go, but we understand that I don't know whether he himself refused to go or what. VP Howard Taylor kicks off a series of visitation with elderly Liberian, and of course she met Emma Sawyer and the former VP of Liberia as well. She says she gone there to pay her respect and to tell them to get some knowledge from them. Fidel, these are some of the stories that actually in the front page now. I don't know which one you want us to expand on a little bit.
No, there's a couple of stories, and obviously the China one is a big talking point right now in absolutely every capital that you go into. The US are getting involved, the Europeans are involved, and everybody's saying that Africa is mortgaging their countries. Well, countries in Africa are mortgaging their country to China, and this obviously those are all geopolitical talks. The Americans would love to be the ones who are the darling of Africa right now, because obviously they still want access to the wealth resources in Africa. And China has the money. China has the ears of the people, especially given the fact that China, there is the no interference policy. We want your oil. We gave you the money. You gave us the oil. We don't care whether you're a democracy. We don't care whether you're a dictatorship or whatever it is. So for most African leaders who want to stay in power forever, China is the best place to go and get money from, because they don't meddle into your internal affairs. So, the Americans can say whatever they want to say right now. Look, any loan is risky. Even for us who get personal loans to do certain things, you take the loan based on your projected earnings. If you're making £2,000 a month now, you take a loan thinking, okay, yeah, in 5 years' time, you'll probably still be making that. Tomorrow, your company could go bust, and then you lose your job, and then obviously you still have to pay the bank their loan back. So every loan is risky. So it's just for us, as Africans, or more particularly as Liberians, all we hope for is that when our governments take loans on our behalf or in our names, that they do at least 90% of the things that the loan was taken for. Not do 10% and eat the 90 of the money. At least do 90%. If you eat the 10%, eating 10% is wrong, but I can swallow you eating 10% than eating the 90, because at least we've got 90% of the job done. And if everybody did 90% of the job, then we'll be far ahead of where we are right now. And I think the second story there is obviously this war crimes court, and obviously Senator Prince Johnson has been weighing in on it. It's almost like God, telling the angels telling God that we need to punish the devil, and then the devil said, "No, God, I ain't supposed to be punished." Obviously, you don't expect him to come out and say that, "No, I shouldn't be punished," or we shouldn't go to war crimes, or we should go. Senator Johnson will probably be the last person, calling for war crimes court, because obviously he will be one of the first people that will go, because his crimes are well documented. The videos are on YouTube. People have been putting up. People have been putting up newspaper articles from back in the days. Highlighting what he did and the number of people he murdered, and obviously if we charge soldiers, so that he's, and it starts to make sense. It starts to make sense now why Senator Johnson endorsed then Ambassador Weir, now President Dr. George Manuel Weir. You can start to look, the facts are not there. Obviously, these meetings were held behind closed doors, but those of us with brains on our shoulders can start to assume and put the pieces together and kind of make a case for, look, I can see why, because this is the same guy who, and I keep saying this, how can one man go from saying that, look, if George Weah wins the presidency, there will be war in Liberia? How can you go from making that statement to endorsing Ambassador George Weah to become president of Liberia? Is baffling. Yes, people say, oh, Prince Johnson is someone who, people who knew him during the war say 1 minute he's dead, the next minute he's that. But even with that, it's just, it's so, I don't know what word to use.
Yeah. This latest story, I don't know you read it. There's a tip for it, 3 minutes. But this one here, if it doesn't move any Liberian who will listen to this story or read this story, I can say maybe tomorrow morning. Let me see. Okay, it was today. Let me just take one or two lines here. This is what he said. Any government that will come to this country and will want to go after leaders of warring faction because he is old, that government should know that that Warren that factions has his followers. That government should know that faction has his followers. If they go in the bush with thousands of single barrel guns, there will be no more peace until they take over, he cautioned. Then this is why he said further, we Namibians are united people. We should not allow the coming of war crime court in this country because it will not offer anything, he said, aiding, or let's say adding, when it is over, it is over once and for all. So it means that whatever happened yesterday, that we should forget. I mean, I don't know. Why you think this man becoming intransigent? He doesn't even want to.
I don't think that is the question. I think the question is the question I will be asking is why is the president and our national legislators not pushing for or listening to at least like honestly listening to the cries of the Liberian people, even if it's just one or two, that that there should be war crime schools in Liberia. People should understand that. Look, I'm not surprised that Senator Prince Johnson is against the war crimes code. I won't be surprised if President Sirleaf was against the war crimes code. I won't be surprised if other individuals within the Liberian government were against it, because at the end of the day, for a lot of people, they know who were they know the individuals who committed these atrocities, and there is no way someone like Senator Prince Johnson would sit there knowing what he's done, in terms of war, his contributions to the war, and want to advocate for a war crimes code to be brought to Liberia. You cannot expect him to advocate for that. Individuals who are in government, our leaders,
Bernard name is in there. He said he welcomed it.
Yeah, but as far as we know, Benina Ure did not actually command any army forces. As far as we know, Benina Ure was probably one of the money men behind Charles Taylor. So he wasn't. As far as we know, there was no evidence to tie him to actual crimes of war. So obviously he will be pushing for it because he's not tied to crimes of war, and not only that, but getting some of these individuals out of the way. For him, he might see that as a way of him getting closer to the presidency of the republic. Look, Max, everybody has their own personal gains in these kind of situations. When people, it's like when I talk about what our representatives are doing and what they're not doing, and I'm talking about it from a personal perspective because I want to see my people live differently. I want to see people treated fairly. I want to see people. I'm not saying it because of any other reasons, because my personal agenda is to see Liberians live a better life, is to see Liberians do better, to see our leaders actually catering to the basic needs of the people. That's my personal agenda. And that's why I say the things that I say. And obviously, Senator Johnson would say, Mr. Uri would say, everybody would say what's in their interest. And the reason I believe the president is quiet is because President Weah wanted to be president for a long time. He had to wait for a very, very long time. And I don't think he could have dealt with the fact that he might not have won the elections for a third time. So whoever was willing to come to him to offer their support, he was going, even if the devil came from hell and offered to say, I'll help you, I believe that the president would have signed a deal with the devil to say, yes, go ahead, make me president, I'll give you my soul. So I believe that because any logical person who followed the election, because one of the reasons why I felt that the other side was going to win was because of some of the comments that Prince Johnson made. So after the first round, you're thinking, whoa, Prince Johnson is definitely going to endorse someone from the other side. There's no way he will be endorsing George Weah, because obviously the things he said about George Weah, I can't see him. Only for us to see, a few days later, I was in Liberia at the time, Max. I was there. I was in Liberia. Yeah. I remember driving through the streets of Monrovia on the day that His Excellency the President came back from Nigeria, when him and Prince Johnson had been there. So I saw the euphoria. I experienced it firsthand, and that for me, Max, you love football, and I love football as well, and there are certain players who are class acts. I remember back in the days when Arsenal was a very good team. When the team sheet came out and Thierry Henry was starting, it automatically put fear in the opposition team. And then the home team was rejuvenated, like, yes, we can do something significant here. And that's the kind of effect that Prince Johnson had on the Weir campaign. The fact that he held that card that would have swayed the election significantly in one or the other direction. Look, people can say whatever they want to say about Senator Prince Johnson. Senator Prince Johnson is a power broker in Liberia. He is significant to elections, significant to the peace, significant to a lot of things in Liberia. So yes, you have to take his words seriously. He is the reason, I believe, or one of the reasons why it's President Weir is President Weir today and not Senator Weir. And I believe that some deal was struck, because Prince Johnson is not a man, I believe, who would just endorse George Weir after saying the things that he said about him. I believe a deal was struck, and President Weir now has to keep his end of the deal. And that's why I believe the president hasn't come out and said anything significant about war crimes court in Liberia. Because one would think, if we believe what Arsene Wenger says about George Weir, that George used to be so sad when he was in Monaco, when his people were dying, he used to feel so bad. Well, if I felt that sad about my people dying, if I become president, the first thing I'm doing is setting up a court to punish the people who killed my people. If that is true. And those are the different things that some of us are trying to grapple with. Some of the things that we try to grapple with, like, how can this one guy who was so passionate, who was so compassionate about Liberians that were dying, now has the power to do something to remedy, you can't remedy anything about it because those people are dead, but to at least show some respect for the fact that these people were killed. The one thing that you could do, you have the power to do it now, and you're refusing to do it. To even talk about it is a problem. So then you start to ask yourself, why? Those of us who spend most of our time asking difficult questions, start to ask ourselves the question, why is it that the president, with all the power that he has, he's got a good mandate behind him from the Liberian people to be their president. He's clean as far as we're aware. He never participated in the war, so he's not going to be affected by this war crime.
You're making a direct statement. According to this is it.
Sorry?
I said you are making a direct statement, like you know him very well. You say he's clean, but.
Well, I said, well, that's my assumption. I'm only going on what like I said, politics is about perception. My perception of the president is that in terms of the war in Liberia, I never heard of any faction that received direct support from George Weir. It's possible, and that's a very good point that you just made. I think it's a point worth interrogating. I think people need to investigate. Okay, wait now. The president just doing anything because of Prince Johnson, or maybe because he got his own dirt in the cover that we need to know about. I don't know. And that is a very, very good question. And, I think it's a question that we need to engage with as Liberians. Why is it that our president is not saying anything about this? Why is what's he called? The Minister of Information not saying anything about this? Because the president don't have to say things all the time, but the government has a spokesperson. Why is he not saying anything about this war crimes code? Why is the president's spokesperson, what's he called? Manen. Mr. Manen. Why is Mr. Manen not saying anything about it? So these are the kind of questions that you start starting like, maybe this thing is not all about, Prince Johnson, it might be something else. We don't know, but those are questions that need to be answered, and those are questions that the Liberian people need to ask.
Okay. I mean, just perhaps for me, the only side perhaps I'm going the other way from you is when we say when you said that Prince Johnson, he hold cardinal, to other peace and reconciliation in Liberia, and I mean, the president or whosoever have to vote him with care. I think the way he's coming now, I agree with most of our contributors. What he's saying here, that is a scare tactics or so. But if there's any reason that we should give him that kind of a support, because if Prince Johnson is sitting down now, right now, watching you and listening, you say, yeah, I got one supporter here. I mean, when they touch me, they touch in trouble.
That I'll disagree, Max.
One minute. That when they touch me, they touch in trouble. So I think I'll continue. But this is why. Let me just quote the last one because my other guest is just about to comment. Let me just quote the last one here in Nima recently, because they just had a piece January there. I followed that, but Front Page Africa took this piece from there. They said recently Recently, at a county sitting in Nimba, Senator Johnson, revealed as the godfather of Nimba, told the gathering that he has men standing ready and prepared to resist his arrest for any war crime prosecution. So you hear now. So if the senator is sitting there now, I mean, hearing you saying this, when we're touching trouble, we say, oh yeah, I'll get my men now. So anybody try me, the last morning we'll go in the bush.
No,
But
I think
just cut off time now. So let me see whether we can hear get your closing wrap up.
No, yeah. I think that is an unfair assessment of what I said. What I'm saying is, I believe, and these are my personal opinions, and I believe that Prince Johnson is a power broker. The evidence is there. The last two elections, he did very well, especially in Nema County. But then in 2011, I was in Liberia. We were all surprised that Prince Johnson came third in the national elections, and those numbers don't lie. Those numbers do clearly state that there are people in Liberia that support Prince Johnson. And whilst I don't know, and until we know, we can't say, whilst I don't know whether he does have individuals ready to help him resist arrest, you need to look, Roosevelt Johnson, for example, tried to resist arrest in Liberia. He had to flee in the end. The Americans had to step in and say, look, we have to take him out. No one is bigger than the government of Liberia. We have the armed forces, we have the national police. If they issue an arrest warrant and he resists arrest, the government of Liberia can take whatever measure they want to take to get him under control, even if it means calling in help from the US, from the UN, or from what other friendly government that we might have. But if he is threatening the peace of the country, if these kind of statements are coming out and the president does not take them seriously, because that is threatening the peace of the republic. That is if these statements are true, then he's threatening the peace of the republic, and I think our president should take them very seriously.
Fidel, the statements are true. The other one he said the last time, it was right in his church. He was preaching that day when the man said that war crime code is a fiasco.
No, but that's different. No, but this one is he's saying that he has men who will defy an order.
It's a security threat. I agree with you. It's a security threat. Yeah. Even the one you said the last time, I can't remember now. I got him on tape. And that's the one I even went on Facebook and I started asking, do we still have NBI in Liberia? Do we still have the National Security Service in Liberia? Do we still have police?
They have the NSA.
Why up to now, this man isn't being invited to give a statement based on what he said?
But that's the fact. Because I'll give you an example. I remember Chief Allen a few years ago, I think it was in 2010, made some comments, and he was called in by the police to go and all he was saying, look, that if the president didn't do certain thing, he was going to incite people to protest. Now, protesting is a legal way of showing dissent. If you don't like something that the government is doing, you can protest. That's legal. Chief Allen was called in by the National Police to go and clarify his statement. Now, you've got this guy, if he is true, if Senator Johnson said what he said and it's out there, you've got a sitting senator in the Liberian Senate saying these kind of threatening things to the Liberian state, and he's not being called in. Max, there are small, there's big hands behind the scenes, as people would normally say. There is some kind of deal in place, and the president cannot on that deal. That's my view on it, and I might be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I will accept it and I will apologize. But that's my view.
I mean, we are entitled to our views. My memory just got me now. What he said was that they have organized association of warring factions in Liberia, and he named former warring factions as head, as executive of this association in Liberia. That is what I was actually trying to imagine, that if I was the NBR boss, I'll be inviting Senator Prince Johnson to give me good statement with respect to that particular association, how far they have gone with incorporation and whatsoever. And now with this statement coming in now and say, I got my men. And last week he said we have association of warring factions in Liberia active, meaning most of the warring faction here is worrying. I will be inviting him. Anyway, Fidel, for this note, we want to say Thank you so much. But what I was trying to say, especially people like you, when you're speaking, you know, a lot of people are listening, and because they've been following you, they know when you say something that you're saying something genuine. My only question is, let's just know how to say it, because somebody can borrow from you and go and misuse it. Thank you so
No,
much
the
this
thing is, Max,
evening.
I'll just say something quickly before I go. Is Darwin wrote the book, The Origin of Things, and a lot of people took that for some. Darwin was a Christian, and people felt that Darwin was talking about the Big Bang Theory. People will always misinterpret what you say. Even renowned scholars, then they're more renowned, scholars have said things, and people misinterpreted them. It's all about how you see it, and that's why I said, politics is about perception. You might say one thing, I might see it differently. How the person choose to use it, that's up to them. All I know is I know the intent with which I said what I said, and I can always defend what I said. But thank you very much for having me, Max, and I look forward to being with you
Thank you,
on Friday.
Fidel. Thank you. Hopefully, we'll catch you on Friday. Thank you. God bless you, buddy.
Definitely. Thank you. God bless you as well, Max.
Okay, bye bye. All right. All right, with this, how we come to the end of Profile Liberia. We're running behind time, so we go because our next guest, Betty Mbayo Johnson of the Front Page Africa, is standing by to come on. Thank you for listening, and God bless you. God bless Mama Liberia. God bless Africa. Please stand by because I will be right back in split second live. But we got to get off this video, and they have to be separated from the one that coming on. Bye bye for now. God bless you.